All right.
We're back.
Back.
We were. Does the theme song apply to this show as well? We're working on a theme show.
I think we need a different theme show. It's a different show.
Okay, so we're working on theme shows, theme songs. I can't see enough of my face, and that hurts my vanity. I want to see all of my face. Thank you, Robbie. Hi, guys.
Hi.
We missed you.
We did.
That is a true statement. I'm not saying that in some sort of a show busy kind of way.
Can I tell you guys a secret?
That's not on the agenda. Can you sort of ambush the agenda with a secret?
I'm going to ambush the agenda.
First. Hellos. Hello.
Hi.
All right. Yes. Ambush the agenda, Robbie.
I'm going to embarrass you, Matthew.
Me?
But you said it was okay for me to embarrass you.
Oh, is this about... Yeah, go ahead.
In the intervening 2 minutes between the previous show and this show, I encouraged Matthew to remove the giant booger that was in his
It was just
nose.
hanging there. It was a bug. Now, I want to know, did any of you guys see it and wonder if I knew about it?
This is an important etiquette question.
Yes.
If you see somebody with a giant boogie hanging out of your nose...
While they're doing a live cast?
No, just in general.
Oh, okay.
Is it more polite to say, you have a boogie hanging out of your nose, get it before anybody else sees it? Or is it more important to just pretend like you didn't see it?
Right.
I'm one who tends to tell the person.
And yet she didn't. Robbie left the booger in my nose for who knows how many minutes. Was it there the whole time?
No, I just noticed it towards
At a certain point, the booger appeared or it descended from the nasal cavity. And it wasn't until afterward that Robbie was like, "You've basically looked like a mess the entire." But she didn't even say that. There was some implication. So
I just said I didn't want to embarrass you.
Yeah.
But it's now captured on video.
It was
good.
It was a big one. I mean, when I grabbed it, it was weighty. I had to sort of dispose of it. It probably could injure someone if it was flung at them suddenly.
I apologize to everyone who was. This is why this is not a professional show. If this were a professional show, we would have like makeup artists.
Wait a second.
Who now once we get our theme song, we might become a professional show.
I applied a good deal of toner and a very modest amount of eyeliner, which is when my eyes seem to recede.
All right, Denise agrees.
All right.
See something, say something.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. Hellos. Robbie thanks you guys for being so nice to her yesterday.
Yes.
I have not heard an end of the good feeling that Robbie got from whoever was on yesterday at the end.
So for the people who are new today, yesterday at the end of the stream, Matthew said that I had lots of work to do and I needed some encouragement. And so many people popped up to say, you can do it, Robbie. It made me feel so good. It powered me through the night. I got another 12 pages done. I was very pleased with myself.
Did you really?
I did.
Congratulations.
Yes, but
do you know what?
Still only not quite. I still have a couple days left. Maybe a day. Maybe a
day. Okay.
Yes.
We are going to continue to love, encourage, support, admire, and genuflect before Robbie. Do you guys know the word genuflect? It means to sort of bow and praise.
Yeah, that's not a good... You don't genuflect before anyone, really. It's a little too obsequious.
Okay.
Obsequious means you are lowering yourself more than you need to lower yourself.
You are learning some words here. We refuse not to use words that we love because then you will learn the words that we love. All right. Try to make spoons stick to our noses. Do you know that I was supposed to acquire some spoons? Do you have any in the great...
Why would I have
Go get some spoons. Everybody get spoons.
Go get spoons.
All right.
Matthew's going to get spoons. See, here's the thing. With not being included on the agenda, I don't know what's going to happen, and I can therefore not be prepared. But you know what? My entire life is me not being prepared, so it's okay. It's okay. Matthew will go fetch the spoons. I hope you are all fetching spoons as we speak.
Sorry, I had to answer a question from my 10-year-old.
Okay. I've never been good at this. You know why? Look at my nose.
Robbie has a nose complex. She thinks her nose is somehow compromised. How's my nose?
I have a very wee nose.
We've been talking about my nose a lot. Mm-hmm. I've got such a cavern of a nose.
Thank goodness you
boogie's the size of Rhode Island to fall out of there.
Before this exercise happened, you got the boogies out of your nose.
All right, so this is what I think you're supposed to do. No, you're supposed to breathe on it. Go, get a little bit of humidity on your nose, and then on the spoon, and then I can already tell.
There's no question. My nose, it doesn't even recognize my nose.
There's not even a chance that this is going to work. We should have baited to... That was the longest in the family so far of the two of us that have tried it for less than 10 seconds. Do you have any glue? Do you have any, epoxy?
There's some people who can just do this no problem.
Robbie! I'm tempted to genuflect again.
Don't do it.
But I will not do it because it's too obsequious.
Don't lower yourself, yes.
All right, here we go.
I think the steam makes a big difference.
My nose is just too smooth. My nose is too smooth. There's nothing for the nose to grab. All right.
Oh, Ella suggests put the spoon under your glasses. That's very clever. Sometimes you got to work around to solve the problems. I like that, Ella.
It's working! I've got it! What do you guys think? Is anyone else having success with this?
Duncan couldn't do it. Let's see.
All right.
All
I
right.
just wanted to see
There's
if we
some
could do
people
that.
still
It feels like
spoon-fetching.
something Moxie would try really hard to do and brag about when she succeeded. And if she
Or
couldn't do it,
she'd
she'd
just
pretend
say
like it
it's
wasn't
a silly
important.
thing.
Yeah. All right. Read chapter 6. Let's get to it. I know some of
Yes.
you are business oriented.
Oh, look, somebody did it. Good job, Sharon.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. I'm impressed and proud of you. The Real McCoys, chapter 6. I'm not going to give a summary because the last time I did, Robbie did not appreciate
Yes,
it.
there's videos that have the entire chapter for you, so you don't even need a summary.
All right, fair enough, friends.
All right. Oh, several
right.
people have done it. It's not going very well for some people, though.
Well,
All right.
I want you to feel good about it. Simmer did it. Well, Simmer is a very powerful, wise, confident, accomplished, good-hearted person. I think all of those adjectives probably contributed to her success. I would like you, friends following at home, in your own copies of the Real McCoys, to turn to page 76, where we will begin with chapter 6. Chapter 6, The Suspects. When I get back to class, Bob, Leon, and Tracy are at their desks, and everyone is working on piñatas for the winter carnival, the big open house that happens right after winter break. Our parents come to school and look at our artwork and eat ginger snaps and listen as we sing cheerful winter-themed songs. The piñatas are supposed to say something about, quote, who we are, end quote. It's exactly the sort of ridiculous assignment that only Mrs. Bunyan could think up. Leon, who seems to have survived his encounter with Principal Jones, has created a one-armed, three-eyed superhero. Bob built a lopsided hamburger with way too many toppings. Emily's piñata is in the shape of planet Earth. Because it is our home, she said, when Mrs. Bunyan made us go around and explain why we had chosen whatever it was we had chosen. Tammy Dublinger's piñata looks like Tammy Dublinger, although she says it's supposed to be Tracy Dublinger. Tracy Dublinger's piñata is in the shape of a molar. I, of course, am working on a large-scale replica of the Maximaxis, complete with proboscis. Even though papier-mâché does not do it justice, my piñata is extremely intimidating. I don't know how playing with balloons and wet newspaper is supposed to prepare us for the future, but it's way more fun than converting fractions to decimals, which is what we'd otherwise be doing right about now. As I sit down at my desk, Tracy Dublinger is showing her molar piñata to Mrs. Bunyan, who is admiring it and making all sorts of ridiculous happy sounds. I have a dentist appointment this afternoon, and I'd really like to show my hygienist, says Tracy. But it's so beautiful, says Mrs. Bunyan. We must have it here for the winter carnival. I'll definitely bring it back after. Well, all right then, says Mrs. Bunyan, laughing as if someone has said something really funny. I half expect Tracy and Mrs. Bunyan to do a high five or start braiding each other's hair. I try to slide back into my seat while Mrs. Bunyan is distracted by all this tooth-related excitement, but Bob Tuttleman sees me and says, Hi, Moxie! A lot too loud, and suddenly Mrs. Bunyan notices that I'm back. I like Bob, but if you put him in a room with an alligator and told him not to touch the alligator, the first thing he would do would be to give it a hug. And where have you been? Says Mrs. Bunyan. I remind her that I have been in the bathroom. All this time? She says. I look at the clock. I've been gone for 20 minutes. I'm trying to come up with a really good explanation for why it took so long when Mrs. Bunyan takes matters into her own hands. That's an owl point, she shouts, taking out a secret teacher notebook. Tracer gives me a satisfied smirk, and Bob giggles the way he always does when someone loses an owl point. If I cared one hoot about the golden owl, it might sting a little. But I don't, and so it doesn't. I walk across the room and pick up my Maximaxis piñata. It's not until I start painting its savage papier-mâché pinchers, a terrifying shade of green, that I realize the true importance of the hall pass Mr. Hammer found by Eddie's case. Every grade has its own color of hall pass, and green is the color for 4th grade. And the hall pass that Mr. Hammer found, the one that was surely dropped by the thief, is green. Suddenly, instead of 163 suspects, there are only 23, because that's how many 4th graders, not named Moxie McCoy, are at Tiddlywump Elementary. And in fact, since the hall pass has today's date, it must be one that Mrs. Bunyan handed out this morning, which means the thief is in this room, at this very moment. I look around. It could be anyone. But who? It could be Bob Tuttleman. He asked to go to the bathroom. He would have had plenty of time to take Eddie. But if Bob stole our beloved mascot, where is Eddie now? Or Leon. Maybe he acted weird on purpose so he could get out of class and steal Eddie. But he couldn't have taken Eddie with him to Principal Jones's office. Could he? And what about Tracy Dublinger? She went to the nurse's office after discovering her flossing crisis. Maybe on the way back, she took a detour through the front lobby. But she had seemed so genuinely concerned about the state of her gums. And what could Tracy possibly want with Eddie? And then, the fourth suspect, which I consider a long shot, but a detective must consider every possibility. Emily Estevez, who came in late and picked up a hall pass in the front office. She told Mrs. Bunyan she had lost her pass, but maybe she actually dropped it in the middle of stealing Eddie. But why in the world would the good and perfect and kind and thoughtful Emily Estevez risk her Eddie Award frontrunner status with such a reckless act on today of all days? None of it makes sense. And yet, one of these four must have paid a visit to Eddie's case this morning. One of them must be the culprit. It's a genuine mystery. But, as Annabelle Adams always says, a mystery is nothing but a solution that is waiting to be found. I look around the room for some sort of sign, anything that will point me in the right direction. In volume 28, A Nose for Fear, Annabelle says she can smell a frightened criminal the minute she walks into a room, though she never describes what that smell is exactly. If I had to guess, I'd assume that the fear of a crook smells something like bacon, but I do not smell bacon at this moment. Tracy smiles wickedly at her enormous molar, which is admittedly fantastic. It is perfectly shaped and so smooth that it practically gleams. Again, however, the wicked smiling is pretty much an everyday affair for Tracy Dublinger. Bob looks as if he'd really like to eat his gigantic hamburger piñata, which is pretty much what you'd expect from Bob on an average day. And Emily is painting the Pacific Ocean while smiling at her papier-mâché earth with exactly the sort of love and respect you would expect from her fantastic and extraordinary self. Instead of painting his piñata, Leon is drawing comics on the side of it, though much more quietly than before. This is a little unexpected, but given what he's just been through with the eels, it's completely understandable. None of them looks like a criminal mastermind, but one of them must be. The answer is right in front of me, but I do not see it. I suddenly miss Maud so much that it hurts like a pinch deep inside of me. I open my notebook and look at the sketch of her I made in the middle of the night. There she is, with her 3 dimples and her kind smile. One by one, I read through my list of questions, each of which reminds me of why I love her so much, and why I will never find a friend like her again. If Maud were here, she'd know what to do with these clues. She'd know the right questions to ask next. But she's not here, and I have an owl to rescue and a school to save and an award to win, which means it's time to stop making excuses and tackle this problem on my own. If Annabelle Adams can solve mysteries using just one hand, I should be able to do it using just one brain. The bell rings for recess. Mrs. Bunyan tells us to bring our piñatas outside so the paint can dry. I stash my Moxie-Maxis in the sunniest part of the playground and look around for a suspect to interrogate. But before I see Bob or Leon or Emily or the Dublingers, someone else catches my eye. It's Milton, and he doesn't look good. Whenever he's confused or angry or trying to figure something out, Milton stands at the far end of the schoolyard and stares at the factory across the river. He calls it his thinking place. I have no idea why it's a better place to think than anywhere else. Remembering my promise to Mom, I walk over to see how he's doing. Don't worry, I say. I'll get Eddie back. I found some clues. Milton doesn't say anything and doesn't even look at me. But I can tell that he's listening. And I can tell that he's thinking because he is pulling on his right earlobe, which is something he does whenever his gears are turning. To make him feel better, I tell him about the thumbprint and the 4th grade hall pass. This seems to get his attention. Was anything out of the ordinary, he asks. The poles that hold up the ropes around Eddie's case were a little crooked. What side of the knob was the thumbprint on? I look at my drawing. On the left, I say. Why do you ask? Every detail can be important. He's right about that. Annabelle Adams ranks paying attention to details right below maintaining clean fingernails and never chewing bubblegum while talking to a diplomat on her top-secret list of detective tips. "But why?" asks Milton, miserable as a cat in a bath. "The thief's hands must have been greasy," I say, assuming he's still thinking about the thumbprint. "No, why would someone want to take Eddie?" It's an excellent question. Annabelle would be the first to point out that the key to finding Eddie might be figuring out who had the most to gain from owl theft. That person would have a motive to commit the crime. "I intend to find out," I say, though it doesn't seem to cheer him up. I look at my watch. Precious moments of recess are ticking away. "I need to talk to the suspects. Are you going to be all right?" Milton says nothing and does not look at me. He just pulls on his earlobe and stares out across the river. I leave him there and head back across the schoolyard, more convinced than ever before that this strange little person cannot be my actual brother. Without even trying, I spot Bob Tuttleman. It's impossible to miss him. He's extremely busy smiling near the swing set. "Hey, Bob." I try to remember the last time I saw Bob in a bad mood. "Hey!" he says cheerfully. It's hard to imagine that I'm looking at a criminal. "How did it go in the bathroom earlier?" I ask, trying to keep things casual. I immediately realize the question is pretty personal, and Bob's face lets me know he thinks so too. But I can also tell that Bob is pretty much afraid of me and is worried what might happen to him if he doesn't talk. "Well?" I ask. Pretty good." "I'm going to ask you a few questions now, Bob." "Okay," he says, as though he can tell he thinks it's not okay at all. "What's the opposite of down?" "Up." "What's 2 plus 2? 4? What's the capital of Texas?" Dallas?" "Is soup delicious?" Wait, was I right about Dallas?" "Doesn't matter, Bob. Is soup delicious?" "Yeah." "Wrong. How about avocados?" "Yuck." "You're not doing very well, Bob. Next question. Did you steal Eddie this morning on your way to the bathroom?" "Oh, of course not. Never." Bob looks deeply wounded, as if I've just ripped the ear off his teddy bear. But that was exactly my intention. Annabelle Adams will often try to rattle her suspects to see if she can get under their skin and make them do something foolish. In Volume 19, In Your Face, Annabelle's relentless questioning annoys a thieving taxi driver so completely that, at the end of a 20-minute ride, he hands her the keys to his cab, admits to stealing the mayor's crystal punch bowl, and literally begs to be put in handcuffs. I think I've punished Bob just far enough for the time being, but I will keep my eye on him. Now that he's spooked, what he does next might be the most important clue at all. What he does next is move over to the other side of the swing set and start smiling with enthusiasm over there. I continue to watch Bob out of the corner of my eye as I go find Tammy and Tracy, who are playing tetherball. "Hello, various Dubliners," I say. "Hello, Moxie," says one of them, pronouncing my name like it is some kind of insult. I am ever so slightly offended, but refuse to show it. I am working, and so I must be professional. "Pretty lame about Eddie, don't you guys think?" "The only lame thing is that you haven't caught the crook yet." "Yeah, what kind of detective are you?" I take a deep breath. Being professional with the Dubliners is like being professional with a two-headed sea monster. "I just wonder if Tracy saw anything out of the ordinary when she was on her way to the nurse's office to get her dental floss." One of the Dubliners whips her head toward me, and I know it must be Tracy. I've touched a nerve. This is good. I don't know how you think I could have noticed anything about anything," she says, like an actress in a really bad TV show. "I was in genuine distress." With that, she hits the tetherball so hard it nearly takes her sister's head off. "Hey!" snaps Tammy. Tracy says nothing. She is staring at me like the way a wood chipper might look at a log. Currently, I'm not going to get anything else out of the Dubliners right now, and I have absolutely no interest in asking their opinion of soup, so I look for Leon. I find him sitting on the cold pavement next to the piñata. He is drawing, of course. "Hey, Leon," I say. Leon says nothing. "Hey, Leon!" Still nothing. He doesn't even flinch. I wonder if Leon is deaf. It's entirely possible. Or it could just be an act. I have to say, Leon just doesn't seem like a criminal. He seems like a crazy, half-deaf kid who really likes to draw. But I have to be sure. Hey, Leon! Leon looks up. Yeah? He says, as if I've just tapped him on the shoulder and handed him a cookie. What happened this morning in the principal's office, I ask, pretending to be very concerned about his well-being. Are you okay? I'm great, he says, smiling like a puppy that has just been scratched behind the ear. Seriously? I ask. I lean in and quietly add, did you get hung upside down by your ankles? Leon laughs and says, no way! Principal Jones is really nice. That's when I realize that Leon has been completely brainwashed. Maybe after Mrs. Breath reads to you from the Oxford English Dictionary until you confess your crimes and secrets, she reprograms your brain so that you forget the entire thing. It makes perfect sense. Which means that Leon might have stolen Eddie and now has no memory of it. This is a very complicated possibility. In Volume 8, Cry If You Want To, Annabelle encounters a brainwashed butler who is the only one who knows which of the 5 birthday cakes belonging to the governor's quintuplet daughters is about to explode. To get this information, she needs, without ruining the 4 perfectly good cakes, Annabelle has to unbrainwash him by playing his favorite childhood lullaby on the flugelhorn. His mother was a famous flugelhorn player. But I do not have a flugelhorn, and I do not know Leon's favorite childhood lullaby, and as far as I know, there is no danger of a birthday cake exploding today. I'll have to study up on other strategies for unbrainwashing people, but for the time being, Leon is obviously a dead end. Carry on, Leon, I say. Carry on is something Annabelle Adams says to convince suspects that she thinks they're innocent, even when she's pretty sure they're not. I have prime suspects, Bob, Leon, and Tracy. But also Emily. I have one more suspect to question, and I don't have to look very hard to find her. For whatever reason, Emily Estevez is lying on a bench with her eyes closed. Maybe she's preparing her Eddie Award acceptance speech, or perhaps she's hoping that pretending to sleep will keep me from asking her hard-hitting questions. Good day, Emily. Emily says nothing. In fact, she seems to be snoring. I lean in. The is very convincing. I conclude it must be a really good fake. No one sleeps on a bench during recess in December. This is not napping weather. I give Emily a nudge with my knee. She groans a little. I give her another nudge. She groans a little more. I decide to hurry things up a bit. The elephant is on fire! Emily's eyes fly open, and she sits up suddenly. Oh no, she says. What elephant? Is it hurt? Where am I? There is no elephant, I say. And it's not on fire. You're on a bench. Thank goodness, says Emily. She looks relieved. Even when pretending to be asleep on a cold bench, Emily Estevez is big-hearted. It's half galling and half inspiring. Again, I am reminded that she is just the kind of person I might like to be friends with, if not for the fact that she is on the verge of stealing my Eddie Award and might just be an owl thief. Why are you lying on the bench, I ask. I'm so tired, she says. I think I might be coming down with something. Why don't you have some chicken noodle soup? I ask, figuring I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Isn't that supposed to help? Ew, says Emily. Soup is so watery and awful. I can't stand it. Really? You don't like soup? Never have, and definitely never will. For just a second, I want to give Emily a hug. It's not just that she dislikes soup. She really, really dislikes it. Annabelle and Maud would both be proud. But then I remember the matter at hand. I cannot let my guard down. You haven't seen anything out of the ordinary today, I say. I don't think so, says Emily. Why do you ask? I ask because you came through the lobby this morning, right around the time that Eddie was being stolen. Yes, Eddie was still there in his case when I walked by. Is that so? I say, as if I'm convinced. Not convinced at all that it is. Cross my heart and hope to die, says Emily. And she says it so earnestly that it seems impossible that she could be telling anything but the 100% truth. I'm trying to come up with another hard-hitting question when Emily beats me to the punch. I know what question I'd be asking. And what is that? Why is January? I consider scratching my head because that's what Annabelle always does when she comes across a solution that confuses her. But my head does not itch, and I don't want to waste a single moment that could be spent getting to the bottom of things. What do you mean by that exactly? Emily smiles. Whenever I reach a dead end and can't figure something out, I ask myself, why is January? Or some other question like it, such as, when is happiness? Or which is yesterday? Or how is asparagus? But those questions don't have answers, I say. Maybe Emily isn't quite as smart as I thought. That's the whole point, she says, because when you try to answer them anyway, your brain has to wander around, and then it gets unstuck, so that it's easier to solve the original problem. But, yes, it works best when you talk it through with someone else. Whenever I ask, why is January, in my own head, I just end up getting lost. Want to try? Why not? I decided to humor Emily, even though I'm pretty sure that any problem-solving technique worth its salt would appear somewhere in the 58 volumes of Annabelle Adams' Girl Detective. So, what's the problem we're trying to solve? Who took Eddie? I thought I had already made this quite clear. Okay, good. So, Slim. People call you Slim, right? Always. Okay, Slim. Why is January? What does that have to do with... Stop. You're missing the point. Just try to actually answer the question. Why is January? I think about it for a second. I have no idea. January is just January. It always has been, and it always will be. I have no idea, I say. Me neither, she says. So maybe let's try a related question. Why is January called January? Well, it has to be called something. Why didn't they just call it Jennifer? Because that would be ridiculous. But why January? Because January is the first month. I hear a voice behind me. It's Milton. I swear he moves so silently he would make an excellent ninja, if only he were a better leaper. Hi, Milton, says Emily. What are you doing here, I ask. I know I'm supposed to be nice to him, but I wish he wouldn't bother me while I'm working. Milton ignores my question. January is named after Janus, the Roman god of doors and beginnings, which is why the first month of the year is named after him. I did not know that, says Emily. I did, I say, as convincingly as I can. I want Milton to go back to his thinking place, but before I can tell him to do so, Emily continues. Is your brain unstuck? I think so, I say. I'm not sure whether it is or not, but I certainly don't want to admit it. Good! So now let's get back to the original question. Who took Eddie? Right, the original question. The problem at hand, the missing owl. I think through the evidence again. The hall pass, the out-of-place ropes, the greasy thumbprint. Bob, Leon, Tracy, Emily. I'm still not sure, I say. Milton says nothing. He's tugging on his earlobe. Emily shrugs. It doesn't always work the first time. The bell rings, interrupting my thoughts and delighting Mrs. Bunyan, who sees every minute of recess as a minute she can't spend making us sit at our desks. Let's go get our piñatas, says Emily. I'm admiring my Moximaxis when Mrs. Bunyan comes by and decides our piñatas are not quite dry and we should leave them out until second recess. As I get back in line, I glimpse the various suspects. Tammy and Tracy seem to have made up and are using their mind powers to prepare for the spelling test. Leon now seems to be drawing on his hand. Emily is using her arm for a pillow as she leans against the cold brick wall. I think she might be asleep again. And Bob is chewing. Yes, his mouth is definitely full of something, and he's trying to chew slowly enough that Mrs. Bunyan doesn't notice. With good reason. Food is completely forbidden during recess. I think about Janice as I watch Bob chewing and chewing and chewing. January is the first month, which is why it's named after the god of beginnings. Makes perfect sense. Bob finally swallows whatever it is, and then he reaches into his coat pocket and comes back with a donut hole, which he pops into his mouth before licking the sugar off his fingers. And then, my suddenly unstuck mind puts it all together. I want to say, Eureka! But decide it's probably better just to think it. Bob Tuttleman spent the morning eating forbidden donuts, which is why he left a greasy thumbprint when he stole an owl from a glass case. Gotcha! And just like that, the mystery is solved. I wonder whether Bob will be sent to regular jail or into an island fortress with no windows. Milton is way over on the other side of the schoolyard in the first grade line. I'd go over and tell him the exciting news, but I don't want to get him in trouble. Not this close to winning the Golden Owl Award. I feel a little bad for Emily Estevez as she leans against the wall, fast asleep, and completely unaware that she just handed me the big break I need to take the Eddie Award away from her.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is the end of chapter 6, my
Matthew,
friends.
that was a very long chapter.
You know what? Our friends April and Drew have 2 boys named E and E, and apparently one of them complained a little bit about the length of this chapter, or maybe one of the other long chapters in this book. Or was it the opposite? Was he glad? Maybe April was complaining at the length of the chapter because she had to read it before he would go to bed.
Yes.
I don't remember. I apologize for inconsistency. I think it's something I can't control. I've never had a good, consistent, even chapter distribution allocation matrix. It's just not something that's a priority of mine.
It is now 2:01. We're going to have to rush through the rest of the agenda
There
items.
is no rule that says we must
I think
end
there are probably
at 2
some
o'clock.
parents who have a next item that their children are supposed to go
So
to.
I would like to say, well, I guess we're going to have to postpone some agenda items until tomorrow because we have some really exciting events and items that Robbie will simply have to take full credit for denying you today.
There were a couple questions.
Let's get to that. Let's clean. Yes.
Notes.
Yes.
Mr. Enders.
Yeah.
Principal Enders.
Principal Enders, we salute you.
We salute you.
Go
I
on.
watched your video yesterday. It was very nice.
Nice.
His
Morning
morning
announcements.
He did morning announcements
In a
yesterday.
minute.
Yes.
Is that your daily minute?
Well, he had us in the little window.
saying, yeah,
Anyway,
okay, all right.
so he says, oh, where did I see it?
Oh.
I've been spending a lot of time in my thinking place too, Milton. And that is an important thing. It's good to have a thinking place.
It is.
Do you have a thinking place?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, in my office.
Yeah.
I go into my office, I shut the door. There are very few places in our barn, which is an open air situation, where one can go and shut the door and have no other humans preying upon your sanity, safety, health, and well-being with their incessant questioning. Well,
has an office
I do.
that he can close the door to now.
I do.
This is a newish development.
Yeah, I worked in this room right over there for many, many years, and
Yes.
eventually I came to my senses and said I must occasionally escape to think. Robbie thrives in the midst of chaos and
However,
apparently does not need such
That
things.
is not true.
All right.
My thinking place is actually in the bathroom because it's the only other room in the house
I see.
that nobody will just barge in on you.
Yes,
on.
yeah.
So sometimes I go to the bathroom. I say I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm just sitting in the bathroom.
Is that a secret that you just told the children that you
just
hoped I
told
wouldn't
you
hear?
Another secret.
Okay.
I should have had you close your ears, but apparently closing your ears doesn't
Well,
make any
I
difference.
told you that I
heard
need to
us
go
last
na na
time.
na 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 na, but you stopped me from doing that. Were there any other questions that we can
Yes.
address?
So what do you do with your children while reading?
Well, we ask. Well, Jasper takes a nap. We time this so
Yes.
that the Jasper can sleep during this time, and the other 3 are industriously doing things in the other room. There's some origami happening. There is
In
some.
fact, maybe tomorrow we will have the kids
Yes.
show you their origami.
They
They've
want
been doing
to.
some fun things.
I keep
Yeah.
forgetting to put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
We're going to show you what they made, and then we'll post some links so you can make it yourself.
Yeah.
Alden has been making lunch every day at 11:40. She comes to me and says, "May I make lunch now?" And I say, "But of course you may." She's been making lunch. They've been doing some reading. They've been doing some coding. They've been using a program called Scratch to create games. It's sort of a bridge to doing your own coding. Kato has been learning JavaScript using Khan Academy. So
They've already read these books,
Yeah.
and are
they're over it.
they're sort of over
Yeah.
it. So
They're
this
not
is
watching
not
our
interesting
live
to
cast.
them. Yeah.
But they do want to appear on
Yeah.
it. So we will let them come in tomorrow and show their origami. Anyway, they're doing a lot of different things.
Yes.
They have a schedule that they follow sometimes and sometimes don't, depending. But they're
Depending
doing
on which
great.
parent they're listening
I
to.
am very proud of them.
Yes, they're doing great.
Yeah. Anything
then
else?
we also had a very good question. Why? There was a joke. El Puppy always has jokes for
Okay,
us.
thank you, all puppy.
Why did the student eat her homework?
Oh, I don't know, because she was hungry?
Her teacher told her it was a piece of cake.
Oh, I would like a piece of cake right now. I really, really would.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Alden's
This
birthdays.
is another good one. Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say Alden's birthday is a few days, and I'm going to make her a
You're
cake.
gonna make a cake.
I'm
We're
gonna
gonna have
I'm
cake.
going to eat some of it, yeah.
What did the science book say to the math book?
Oh man, you've got problems.
Oh, good for you.
No, I
Did
saw
you-
it in the
you-
thread. Yeah, I looked.
Cheated.
Yeah,
Cheated.
but wasn't it better that I could just smoothly deliver the punchline?
Yes,
yeah, all right.
you were convincing.
Yeah.
The other thing was, let's see. Why do they get 2 recesses, Matthew?
Because I needed the second recess as a mechanical function to solve the mystery. Guys, don't be too hard on me.
Is convenient
yes,
storytelling
it is,
something
it is.
that Robbie does not like when
No,
she reads in
I mean,
books?
if I were a better author, I might have come up with a better solution. This was my first novel, you guys. It was a real challenge in many ways.
Hey,
So
but isn't that something that we could all maybe lobby our congresspeople for?
a second recess?
Allowing second recess in school? I
Because
think it's actually
it would
super
help
important.
kid detectives have more time to interrogate
Exactly,
suspects. So
and it would make Matthew's book make more sense.
yeah, so if anybody has the sway, perhaps it's not a civic priority at the moment, but later we should work on
Lobby
that.
for second
Maybe
recess.
even third recess.
Yeah, I think it would be great. And I bet Principal Enders probably agrees with us.
Oh, I bet Principal Enders probably has his own opinions about that and doesn't want to be put on the spot, Robbie. Maybe an informed educator such as he could let us know.
Yes. All right.
All right. We have some people that
think-
use Scratch.
Oh.
We have other people who love Scratch. We have other people who can cook. Awesome, you guys.
You guys are very self-sufficient.
Somebody's
I'm so
screen
proud
went
of you.
black. I apologize for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
One more note. Ella was reading along with the book.
Yeah.
And she noticed reading along as
I
it
didn't
came
say
on
it
our
perfectly
screen.
all the time.
No.
Did she notice an
there
error?
were actually several instances
Oh, where it differed?
where it's different.
Yes.
And let me actually show you.
But you know what? It might be that Matthew also made a few errors.
Matthew did make a few errors,
Yeah.
but there was a whole section that I saw
Yeah, that was different?
that was different. Let's see. There was a string of illustrations at the top here.
Oh, yeah?
So on this page, see those little pictures? It's pictures
What
of
page is it? What page is it?
Bob, and he's sort of like being excitable over by the
Oh, I remember why we took that
over
out. Yeah.
by the playground. And so, yeah, that got taken out. We changed the language a little bit because it just seemed like it was a little out of character for him to be acting quite so kooky as he was
Yeah, we wanted him to seem a little more realistic.
A little more realistic.
Yeah.
So that was a very good observation.
Yeah,
but that was
awesome.
something that changed between the time that I said we're absolutely done with this file and we don't need to see it again.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah, cool.
and the people at the publishing company said, let's fix this one last thing.
Can we please say the magnificent Aaron Stein
The
and the
people at the
remarkable
publishing company.
Natalie Sousa?
Exactly.
They have feelings too, Robbie.
Yes, they are
They
the
have
best.
birthdays. They like cake, just like the rest of us. Yeah? And do we have
What
another?
do you call a fake noodle?
And
You're
then
reading all the answers. You're
an
supposed to guess.
impasta.
An impasta. That
I would
one's
have
a
told
good one.
that is
I
a good
like
one.
that one.
And on that note, I think
Yes.
we should mourn the
There are some people who need to take a nap now.
the
including
agenda that we
myself.
didn't complete. You're gonna go to sleep? No. Everybody
I have
needs
work
to
to do,
give
yes.
Robbie a boost so she can finish her
More-
project.
yes.
Robbie is great. Robbie is
I
grand.
don't need to be great.
This
I
is the
just
Robbie
need,
and
I just
Matthew
need
show.
some energy. Oh, is that the new theme song for
Robbie
this
is
one?
great. Robbie is grand. This is the Robbie and Matthew show.
I could get behind that. I feel
It feels a
like
little
that's
imbalanced. Robbie is great. Matthew is grand? Or do you want both of the compliments?
it's a better song when they both of the compliments
I
are
see.
for
Oh,
me.
Robbie is great. All right. All right. Friends,
Yes.
farewell until tomorrow. We shall
Yes.
return tomorrow
Thank you for
afternoon at
joining
1
us.
o'clock.
We super appreciate
We
it.
will read chapter. I saw Robbie getting a little antsy as she saw how long chapter 6 was. So we'll see. I don't want to.
Matthew doesn't like breaking up his chapters, but I break up chapters all the time
my
when
gosh,
I
you
read
guys.
to my children.
Chapter 7
Chapter
is
7.
long.
We might do chapter 7 in a couple chapters.
We will not. We will not do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, people.
Robbie and I
for
will fight
giving
about that
me
between now and
the
then.
life force to complete
Robbie is
my
great.
project.
Robbie is grand. This is the Robbie and Matthew show. Bye, guys.
Also, if
Oh, that was supposed to be the end.
sorry, if you have friends who might
Oh, yeah.
enjoy this, share it with
Tell
them,
them about
please,
it, yeah.
because it's a good way to kill an hour every day.
Or fill your heart with love and your mind with intellectual stimulation. We don't have to kill this hour. We can make this hour worth living.
We can all keep Matthew's boogies in his nose.
My
Or
boogies.
out of his nose.
I think we're
don't
good.
know.
I think
Yeah.
we're good.
All right.
All right.
Bye, guys.
We'll see what else I did wrong. Bye.
Yay.